Thank you for welcoming me to this meeting. It's a pleasure to be here, and it was very interesting to listen to your previous questions and the discussion about funding, and perhaps I have some answers to your questions regarding this. The subject for today is seed funding in the Baltic Sea region. I have no idea how many here know what the purpose with seed funding is. So that would be my first question to you. How many are familiar with the concept of seed funding? Well, quite many. But I will explain how it started, at least here in the Baltic Sea region, and basically where you can apply for seed funding and for what kind of purposes. I understand that it was stated previously that it's quite difficult for NGO to initiate large scale projects, but I think some of the NGOs here have that capacity because we have seen it previously. I work for the Swedish Institute at this Baltic Sea unit, and we have had a seed funding facility running since 2005. And over the years we have funded, I would say, around 700, 800 projects, also with NGOs applying for funding and receiving funding. As you can see today, it's the Swedish Institute offering seed funding. You also have the European Commission seed funding facility. It's the second one, the Council of the Baltic Sea States, and you also have the Nordic Council of Ministers having some financing in this area, and the amount is rather similar. But I think instead of going through each one, I will leave this
5 minutes.
Okay, exactly. So instead of going through each one, I will just, for those who don't know what it is, what a seed funding, what the concept is about, is that you're allowed to apply for funding that is, the application process is slightly simpler. It's easier to get the money, but the requirements in return is that it's start of something new. I mean, that's why the name seed funding is. It's a seed to start something larger. So it's not just to support very narrow activities like meetings, but you have to take into consideration of the sustainability of the idea or of a project you're developing. So normally this kind of funding covers the costs of meetings in order to prepare a larger application. That's one of the sustainability for an idea, but it could also be that you need to meet, and a couple of NGOs need to meet, set up a cooperation agreement. But then you of course have to prove the added value to the region of what that kind of cooperation, what kind of added value it would bring to the region. So it doesn't always have to be, at least not from the Swedish Institute's perspective, that you have to apply for further funding from the European Commission or other national funding. And the amount, as you can see, it's rather similar. I mean, it's around between 40 and 50,000 euros. From the Swedish perspective, it's also dependent on the exchange rate versus the euro, but I mean, it's around, nothing radical has happened so far, so it's still around 50,000 euros. I will supply this document, I will leave it here, and there are contact information to all of us. I mean, to a colleague of mine at the Swedish Institute, to people, staff working at the Council of the Baltic Sea States, to the Commission seed funding facility, and also to the Nordic Ministry of Council. So I have 5 minutes, so the clock is ticking. So instead of talking a lot, I assume you might have questions of how this might work, because as you see, the project here should contribute to implementing various regional strategies. The idea, I mean, you're expected to solve a problem together with others. So cooperating with other countries is, of course, vital. So it's not possible to apply just, let's say, for an Estonian partners or Polish partner, Swedish partner, just to apply for national funding, to use this to a national project. But you have to build partnership in the region with other like-minded individuals and organizations. Well, I mean, you have various type of NGOs, with some have fewer members, some are larger NGOs. Of course, this financial instrument isn't for all NGOs, but since there is such a big group of you here, I am confident that some of you will be eligible to apply for funding. And I will also underline, as a comment to Gunnar's remark here, is that when you apply for funding, it's about a win-win situation. It should be mutual, and that goes for almost all the seed funding facilities here, that it should be a mutual problem that has to be solved, and so it should be a win-win-win situation for everybody involved. There used to be projects from Sweden, from Denmark, that were more had a more aid focus in their scope, and that changed in 2005, and it became more diverted towards mutually beneficial projects where you have a common problem and you want to solve it together. So I'm hoping that some at least will find this interesting, and if you do so, please don't hesitate to contact the people that, I mean, I assume this will be sent out to the participants here in the network, and I will be here for a few more minutes, so should anybody want to talk to me directly, please do so.
Thank you. And gentlemen,
just a brief question from an alien to the Baltic. What is IB stand for?
Investtionsbank. So they are in charge. I mean, they have received the task from the Commission to handle the Commission seed funding. So basically the same thing as you have various banks and so on delivering their programs.